Good morning, children. Welcome back to the social session. Children, we started a new unit yesterday. It's completely different from the geography part, and we were trying to understand about the historical facts now. So it is about the emergence of the new kings and the kingdoms and the republics, and we started from the early life. That was people started leading a settled life, and when they had the knowledge of cultivating, and they got the knowledge of agriculture and cultivating, they started leading a settled life, and they started living in groups. So it generally the group of people living together was called as a Janapada. Okay, so actually these people who got settled there are called as Jana in Sanskrit, and that town or the village is called as Janapada. If it is a big town or if it is a big settlement, then it is called as Mahajanapada. And we also have learnt about how did we come to know about these Mahajanapadas, what are the early Janapadas. We have studied some of the historical books written by the Strabo, and people like even the most important people like Strabo and Herodotus, and even about the Dharma Sutras and Upanishads, these all tell about these Mahajanapadas. There was a mention about all of these in these books. And today let us see some of the villages in the times of Mahajanapadas and how these were. So we learnt from the books of those times that agriculture was managed by the landowners called as Grihapatis. What are they called as? Grihapatis. So who are these Grihapatis? These are the landowners. Agriculture is managed by these people called as Grihapatis during this time. So these Grihapatis who usually worked along with their family members on the field, but they are employed dasas or slaves. They used to work, and along with them, because the field is very large one, their family members physical labor is not sufficient, so they employ even the dasa slaves to work for them, those who surrender and those who work for them. And workers, the workers are called as brukatas. So brutakas, and who worked on their fields and home in their homes, and they will get in return wages. They will get paid for their work done on the field as well as in the home. And some wealthy Grihapatis had more land and slaves to work for them. Usually the largest landowner become the headman of the village. Generally whoever is wealthy, he becomes the headman of the village. Even in the Gond, Panch and Patla also we have seen that the person who was responsible for the formation of the village of that group will act as a Patla there. Here whoever is wealthy, that person will become the headman of the village. So he was the leader of the village like the Gond Patla, as we have seen in the previous lesson, and he was also used to collect the taxes from the villages. So he will be used by the king in order to collect the taxes for the king, and after collecting, a little amount will be kept by him and remaining amount will be deposited, will be given to the king. So he also acts as a judge if there are any small disputes like Gond Panch you have seen. He also will act as a judge, and sometimes as a policeman, as a person to maintain the law and order in the village. So all the people, in order to live peacefully, this headman will take the responsibility. In most villages, as you know, there were craft persons like artisans were there. Who are the artisans, children? Who made tools necessary for agriculture, like plows, sickles. These all in order to make, you need the carpenters. So he is an artisan. Goldsmith is an artisan. Blacksmith is an artisan. So these kind of artisans were present. Even potter is also a artisan who makes the pots. Potter, a potter's wheel, you know, potter's wheel, who makes the pot. So he is also an artisan. Weaver is an artisan who used to weave the cloth. So probably the Grihapatis gave them grains in return, and in order to purchase them, and these products were necessary for agriculture, but the Grihapatis may not have had the time and skill to make all of them. For that reason, he used to give grains for them, because he has large land, so the output will be, the yield will be very high. So some of the grains used to be given to them, and they used to get the work done. If he want cloth, he used to give 2 solas of grains. So he used to get the cloth. So this is how they used to usually get the cloth. And there are many other things through which he used to get his things done, because many of their work, even though he cannot do it, and it also requires a skill. For that reason, he depend upon these artisan people. And if you look at the cities of Mahajanapada, some of the cities which are present during this time, let us look at the cities table and what kind of people do you find in this region. They think lived in them. So cities of those times, like today, were mainly inhabited by the poor people, poor workers. Some of them were slaves and servants working under the large grihapatis. Most of them were craftsperson who made goods for sale. So this kind of work was also taken up in the cities in order to sell. So what did they make then? These artisans, the potter will make pots, the weaver will make the cloth, and the goldsmith will make the jewelry. So they made beautiful and fine pots with the which were in great demand in all great towns, and they wove fine cloths which were brought by rich people for other Mahajanapadas too, and they made gold and silver jewelry. They also made vessels and tools of bronze, copper and iron, and they were also innumerable other kinds of professions, like soldiers were there, accountants were there, mason was there. Mason, you know who is a mason? Accountant बोले तो accounting करने वाला, ओके, जमा खर्चू करने वाला जो है वो accountant है, मगर mason कौन है? तापी मेस्त्री, जो घर बनाने का काम करता है, देखिए, he is called as a mason. So soldiers were there in these cities. Who live are the masons, soldiers, artisans. These all different professional people, and sweepers, water carriers, wood and ivory cravers. Crave करने वाला, that means designing करने वाले, and all the things made by craftsperson, only a few articles like pots, bricks, iron and copper objects have come out in excavation, but many of them got completely what we call degraded in the soil. Only few of them we got in the excavation. We also know about those times from these excavations and from the books written in those times, and there were also great traders who purchased the produce of these craft persons and sold them from and grihapatis, and sold them in other distant lands and in other distant Mahajanapadas, and they also used to make huge profit out of them. They also brought the special articles and of those lands and sold them in their own Mahajanapadas and made huge profit. They took their merchandise. Merchandise means the goods what they have purchased. This big caravans. Caravan बोले तो box, a big box. Okay. So वो caravan with a large number of animals, with oxen, donkeys and camels. They used to carry it to the other Mahajanapadas. They traveled day and night for weeks and months across the rivers, mountains, plains, hills and deserts in order to reach the new lands. They made so much of profit that they could live in palaces with dozens of servants and slaves serving them. So in the next class, children, we shall understand about the king, army and taxes. Thank you, children.